When the world went quiet, the stories didn't. Welcome to Zombie Storytellers. Between Bell and Night. Chapter 1. Paused. The last normal sound in New York was the school bell. It rang at exactly 2:47 p.m. inside Franklin High School, buzzing through aging speakers like it always had. Students packed up. Teachers relaxed. Phones came out. Outside, the sun burned bright against the glass. Warm, familiar, harmless. Until it wasn't. Malik Turner noticed the coughing first. Not one person. A lot of them. It started quietly, like people clearing their throats. Then it grew louder, rougher. Someone near the windows bent forward, gripping their desk as if the floor had tilted beneath them. By the time the siren started, half the class was sweating. The announcement cut through the room. "This is not a drill. Please move away from all windows. Remain indoors." The principal's voice cracked. Sunlight spilled across the classroom floor, and Malik swore it looked thicker than usual, like the air itself had weight, like it pressed down on skin and lungs. A girl screamed. She stood by the window, clutching her face. Dark veins crawled up her neck as if something inside her was overheating. Her eyes glazed over, not angry, not violent, just empty. She took one unsteady step back and collapsed. She didn't convulse. She didn't bleed. She just shut down. Others followed. One by one, Malik's classmates slid into chairs or crumpled to the floor. The teacher sagged against the whiteboard, marker clattering to the ground. Desks rattled as bodies went still. Malik stayed standing. He waited for the dizziness, for the heat, for the world to tilt. Nothing happened. By the time the coughing stopped, Malik was the only one in the room still awake. By late afternoon, Franklin High felt wrong, like it had been abandoned in the middle of something important. Bodies filled classrooms and hallways, students, teachers, staff, all breathing, none responding. Phones rang until batteries died. Emergency alerts repeated the same broken instructions. Malik moved through the halls alone, staying away from the windows, calling out softly and hating the echo of his own voice. He followed distant whispers until they led him to the gym. 4 people stood near the bleachers. Malik, Jordan, still wearing his backpack, Lena, wiping her face over and over with her sleeve, and Ava, standing very still, eyes fixed on the doors. "Everyone in my class went down," Malik said. Saying it out loud made it real. "All of them." "Same," Jordan said. "Different rooms." Ava nodded. "Whatever this is, it missed some of us." That wasn't comforting. They pulled the gym doors closed, not barricaded, just shut, and stayed far from the high windows. The sun slid lower, stretching the shadows until the light finally disappeared. No one spoke as it went dark. The first sound came after nightfall, a body hitting the floor somewhere in the school, then another, then running. The sound wasn't human. It was too fast, too steady. Each footstep landed with the same violent rhythm, like whatever was moving had endless air and no sense of pain. Malik leaned toward the narrow window in the gym door. He immediately wished he hadn't. A body sprinted past at full speed, but its face was slack, eyes blown wide, jaw hanging open, breath ripping in and out in harsh mechanical bursts. Its head snapped toward the door for half a second, like something reacting to movement it barely understood. Malik stumbled back, heart slamming. He didn't know if it saw him. He didn't know if it could. Footsteps thundered through the corridors, one set, then another, overlapping, echoing, multiplying. Not panicked, not scattered, purposeful. "They were out cold all day," Lena whispered, her voice barely sound. "They didn't move." No one answered. The running went on for minutes, maybe longer, before the sound spilled out into the city beyond the school, fading into distant chaos. The silence that followed felt worse, like the building was listening. No one suggested it. They just moved, quiet, instinctive, sliding under the lowest row of bleachers, squeezing into the narrow space where dust and old tape stuck to their clothes. Malik's shoulder pressed against Jordan's. Lena curled in on herself. Ava stayed on her knees, eyes fixed on the open floor. They didn't turn on their phones. They didn't whisper. Above them, the gym stretched wide and empty, every sound magnified. Somewhere far off, glass shattered. Something ran past the building, fast enough to rattle the doors as it went. Malik held his breath. For a long moment, he was sure they'd hear it again, closer this time. Feet slamming into the gym, a shape tearing across the floor, a head snapping toward the bleachers. Nothing came. Minutes passed, maybe hours. Their legs cramped, their lungs burned. Still, nothing entered the gym. That was when the thought settled in, slow and sickening. They weren't safe. They were lucky. Lucky the doors hadn't been open. Lucky the runners hadn't turned. Lucky nothing had smelled them, heard the... Chapter 2, First Morning. I thought the worst part would be night. I was wrong. Night had been loud, screaming, running, something feral tearing through the city, fast enough to shake the walls. We stayed under the bleachers the whole time, pressed together in the dust, barely breathing, waiting for the gym doors to burst open. They never did. Morning came quietly, not all at once. It leaked in through the high windows, pale and gray, like the sun was unsure if it was allowed back yet. I noticed because the sounds outside started changing. The running slowed. Footsteps lost rhythm. Screams turned into choking gasps, then cut off completely. Somewhere close, something hit a wall hard, then slid down it with a wet sound that made my stomach twist. I understood then. Night hunted, morning finished. No one moved under the bleachers. Jordan's shoulder was still pressed against mine. Ava was on her knees, staring at the gym floor like she expected it to start moving on its own. The fourth, Lena, had her hands over her mouth, eyes wide and shining in the dark. The light crept farther in. Outside, the city went quiet in pieces. No more running, no more screaming, just the soft, distant thuds of bodies dropping wherever the sun found them. Jordan whispered, "They stopped." No one answered him. I don't know why I moved first. Curiosity, fear, something worse. Guessing felt dangerous now. "I'm going to check something," I said. Jordan grabbed my sleeve instantly. "Malik, don't." I pulled free and crawled out from under the bleachers. Standing felt wrong, like breaking a rule I didn't understand yet. The gym looked almost normal in the morning light. Basketball lines on the floor, banners hanging crooked, dust floating like nothing had happened here. I took one step toward the doors. Nothing happened. Another step. Sunlight touched my shoes. I waited for the coughing, for the heat in my chest, for my legs to give out like everyone else yesterday. Nothing. My heart was pounding, but my lungs worked. My vision stayed clear. I stepped fully into the light. Still nothing. Behind me, Jordan whispered my name. Ava didn't say a word. Lena gasped softly. I looked through the glass doors. The street outside was full of bodies. People lay scattered everywhere, face down, twisted, frozen mid-run. One man was slumped against a car, arms raised like he'd been trying to climb when the sun shut him off. None of them moved. They weren't dead. They were paused. "I think," I said slowly, "it doesn't work on me." Jordan shook his head. "That's not funny." Eva walked past him before he could stop her. She stepped into the sunlight beside me, shoulders tight, eyes shut, waiting for it to hit. It didn't. She opened her eyes and stared at her hands like they didn't belong to her anymore. "I'm still here," she said. Lena followed before anyone could argue. She crossed the gym fast, like hesitation might change the outcome. She stopped next to Eva. Nothing happened. Jordan swore under his breath. "No, no way." He hesitated longer than the rest of us. Then he took one step, then another. Nothing happened. 4 of us stood there, bathed in mourning, alive. The relief never came. Outside, the city was full of people who hadn't been spared. Jordan let out a short, broken laugh. "So, we're immune?" "No," I said immediately. They all looked at me. I pressed my palm against the glass. "We're skipped." Because if the sun didn't affect us, that meant it chose who to take. Somewhere in New York, other people were probably standing in daylight right now, just as confused as we were. We wouldn't know how many. We wouldn't know who. And when night came back, the bodies outside wouldn't wake up like we had. They'd wake up running. Eva spoke quietly. "We can't be outside when it gets dark." I nodded. The sun wasn't our enemy. The night was, and it was already getting closer. Like and subscribe for more content like this.